Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you something right now. When was the last time you felt genuine, unbridled joy? Think about that moment for a second. Picture it. Maybe it was the simple act of sharing a laugh with a friend, or seeing a child's face light up when you gave them a gift. Maybe it was catching a glimpse of a sunrise after a long, restless night, or finishing a goal you thought was impossible. Whatever it was, hold that memory in your mind. Let yourself feel the spark that made your heart race, your lungs breathe deeper, and your spirit surge with life. That spark is your joy, your everyday engine, and it is the reason we're gathered here tonight. Because the secret to our lives isn't hidden in wealth, status, or the praise of strangers. It's right there in those everyday moments that might otherwise slip by unnoticed. Today, I invite you to explore this idea with me. How do we find joy in the everyday? It's an urgent question because in our world, we're often fed the idea that grand victories or colossal successes are the only milestones worth celebrating. We're told that joy is some extravagant feast we only taste when life breaks our way in a big manner. But I believe real joy lives in the small corners of our day, in the humdrum spaces we tend to dismiss. Real joy dwells in the simple habits that lift us when no one else is looking. The problem is that many of us don't notice these moments. We rush by them as we chase bigger things. We're focused on reaching the next promotion, clearing the next hurdle, impressing the next group of admirers. In doing so, we overlook the priceless moments that have the power to sustain us through our darkest hours. When we fail to see the joy in the everyday, we run the risk of living a life that is perpetually on hold, waiting for something miraculous to happen, waiting for the next external reason to be happy, waiting for conditions to be perfect before we give ourselves permission to feel alive. But joy doesn't ask us to wait. It asks us to notice. It asks us to bend down and pick up those gems scattered across our ordinary days. The ones that sparkle if we just look a little closer. It's about redefining what success means to us, reevaluating what it means to be truly alive, and reimagining the rhythm of our daily existence so that our eyes stay open to the gifts already in front of us. Listen, this isn't a conversation about ignoring our problems or settling for less than our dreams. This is about weaving those dreams into the fabric of each day so we don't sleepwalk through life, blindly chasing illusions of happiness. It's about anchoring ourselves in gratitude, in curiosity, and in purpose. It's about learning that the small moments, the morning cup of coffee, the shared joke at the water cooler, the warm smile of a neighbor, are not distractions from our pursuits, but the very things that give those pursuits meaning. The question is, how do we do it? How do we tune our senses so we can catch these everyday joys instead of letting them slip by unseen? And why is it so crucial that we make this shift in perspective? Tonight, we're going to dive into two key principles that I believe can transform the way you experience your day-to-day life. We will walk through stories and examples that bring these ideas to life so that you leave here not just inspired, but ready to make practical changes. Because talk is cheap if it doesn't move our hearts to action, right? So I want you to lean in, take a breath, and commit to not just hearing these words, but absorbing them. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be open, and to be honest about how you're living right now. My goal isn't to lecture you on what you're doing wrong. My goal is to stand with you, share my personal discoveries, and help you find your own path toward noticing the spark that's always been inside you. Because once you awaken to that spark, once you know in your gut that joy is within your reach every single day, nothing can stop you. Nothing. You become a force of nature. You become unstoppable, unbreakable, and unapologetically alive. Let's get started. Now, the first principle I want to share with you is that joy thrives on meaningful connection, both with ourselves and with others. That may sound obvious at first, but I promise you, it's deeper than it looks. Far too often, our relationships become superficial. We talk about the weather, we discuss our schedules, and we skim the surface of each other's lives without really diving beneath. We also lose connection with ourselves. We stop asking the question, what do I truly need in this moment? Or what is my heart really telling me? When that happens, our life becomes a series of disjointed tasks, lacking the glue that holds it all together. Human connection. You can have the biggest house, the flashiest car, or the world's best job. But if you're not sharing your life in a meaningful way, if you're not reaching into your own depths, you risk suffocating the joy that's meant to grow inside you. Let me tell you a story. I knew a man who had it all in terms of traditional success. He owned multiple properties, traveled in style, and wore clothes that seemed plucked from fashion magazines. On the outside, it looked like he was living the dream. But whenever I talked to him, I could see something missing behind his eyes, something hollow. I remember asking him once, "What do you love most about your life?" He paused, genuinely at a loss for words, before giving some vague response about business opportunities. He had built massive financial success, but never built a single bridge back to his own heart or to the people around him. His relationships were primarily transactional. He had forgotten the basic human need to connect, to feel truly seen and genuinely loved. And in that forgetfulness, joy slipped through his fingers like sand. Now, why does this matter for you? Because if you neglect meaningful connections, you might wake up one day and realize you're surrounded by people and things, yet you feel utterly alone. The everyday moments that could have sparked joy, like a supportive text from a loved one or a spontaneous laugh with a neighbor, end up feeling empty, or worse, they go by unnoticed because your antenna isn't tuned in. That's the cost of disconnection. It's a steep price. So how do you break the cycle? First, you ask yourself a simple question. Who did I connect with today? That might sound basic, but it's powerful. Did you have a genuine, heartfelt exchange with anyone at all? Be it a coworker, a friend, a family member, or even a stranger. Was there a moment when you stripped away the small talk and actually asked how they were doing and listened, really listened, to their answer? Did you share something about yourself that was vulnerable or honest? Connection isn't always about grand gestures. It's often in the quiet presence of just being there for someone or allowing someone to be there for you. Next, you carve out time for genuine self-reflection. Ask yourself, how am I doing? Really? And be brave enough to hear the answer. Don't run from discomfort. Recognize that the more you understand your own heart, the better you can share it with others. That's not selfish. It's necessary for real connection. If we have no clue what we're feeling or what we need, we can't expect to form meaningful bonds. Make it a practice to sit in silence for a few minutes each day. No phone, no TV, no noise. Just you, your thoughts, and your breath. Take that time to reconnect, to listen to your own heartbeat, to notice your own tensions, and to address them with compassion. The more aligned you are internally, the more joy you'll see externally. The result, a new level of emotional awareness that amplifies everyday joys. You'll start noticing the warmth in someone's voice when they greet you, the quiet gratitude you feel when someone remembers a detail about your life, the spark of excitement that lights up your day when you share an accomplishment with someone who genuinely cares. That's the reward of connection. You feel alive in the presence of others, and they feel alive in your presence as well. It's a two-way street that keeps on giving. If you want to see this in action, think of moments in your own life when you felt closest to someone else. Maybe it was a late night conversation where you bared your souls and found unexpected comfort in each other. Or maybe it was a shared victory, winning a game, receiving good news, celebrating a graduation, where you looked into another set of eyes and felt pure, undeniable excitement mirrored back at you. Those times stand out in your memory because they tap into something fundamental, our need to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And in that connectedness, joy flows freely, unrestrained by ego or fear. So let me ask you, are you ready to open yourself up, to see and be seen, to connect so profoundly that joy becomes a natural byproduct of your everyday life? You can do it. And it starts by reaching out, by being present, by asking deeper questions, and by being honest about your own feelings. That's the first key principle. Embrace it and watch how your days transform. But we're not finished. There's a second principle I want you to consider, and it's this joy flourishes in an environment of purposeful intention. You see, so many of us live on autopilot. We roll out of bed, grab whatever's handy for breakfast, skim through emails or social media, and before we know it, the day has zipped by in a blur. We come home exhausted, crash on the couch, maybe flip through channels or scroll through more feeds, and then fall asleep only to do the same thing the next day. If that's your rhythm, joy doesn't have a real chance to flourish. It's drowned out by the constant noise and the absence of genuine intention. Think of intention as the guiding force that shapes the contours of your day, like an artist with a paintbrush deciding what colors go where. Without intention, life just happens to us, and joy becomes a happy accident if it appears at all. But with intention, we assign meaning to what we do, no matter how small the act. When you get out of bed with the determination to appreciate the quiet of the morning, your senses tune into the gentle light streaming through the window, the comfort of your first sip of coffee, the calm that precedes the hustle. You're no longer passively moving through time. You're actively engaging with it. And that's when joy steps forward and says, "Here I am." A friend of mine once decided he was tired of feeling unfulfilled by his routine. He told me, I was living for the weekend, and the rest of the days were just filler. So he committed to one simple shift. Every day, he would do one act of kindness, either for himself or for someone else. It could be as small as leaving a note of gratitude on a coworker's desk, or as personal as taking a 5-minute walk outside just to feel the breeze on his face. Over time, those small acts added up, turning into a deliberate practice of seeking and sharing joy. He discovered that by making room for intention, by literally planning for joy, he expanded his capacity to feel it. Suddenly, Monday afternoons weren't just boring stretches of time, they became opportunities for tiny celebrations. Tuesdays were no longer dreadful midweek slogs. They held the potential for heartfelt connections. His entire perspective shifted from enduring the week to embracing each day with purpose. The consequences of ignoring intention can be harsh. You risk waking up years from now with the sinking realization that life simply passed you by. You might find yourself steeped in regret, haunted by the question, what if I had lived differently, more consciously, more intentionally? But the good news is this: you don't have to wait for a crisis or for some external permission to make a change. You can choose to live with intention right now, in the next hour, in the next minute, with the very next breath you take. So how do you begin? Start small. Choose one thing you usually do on autopilot. Maybe it's your commute, your lunch break, or your bedtime routine, and inject a dose of mindfulness into it. If you usually zone out while driving or taking the train, try listening to an inspiring podcast or an uplifting playlist instead. If you're used to wolfing down lunch at your desk, take a moment to really taste each bite, to appreciate the flavors, to recognize that this meal is fueling your body. And if you mindlessly scroll through your phone before bed, replace that habit with a brief reflection. Name 3 things you were grateful for that day. This is not about adding extra tasks to your already busy life. It's about shifting your focus so that you experience your life rather than sleepwalking through it. As you do this, as you infuse intention into your day, you'll start to see patterns of joy emerging in places you never expected. Maybe you'll find yourself smiling at the sound of rustling leaves during your afternoon break. Or you'll feel a wave of calm when you realize you're perfectly capable of handling that tough assignment because you approached it with a clear sense of purpose. These experiences may seem small, but collectively they build a reservoir of happiness inside you. And that reservoir can sustain you when challenges inevitably arise. Because let's be real, life throws curveballs. Deadlines tighten, loved ones get sick, relationships face tension. And sometimes you feel like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders. But when you've practiced living with intention, you've built the muscle to spot the hidden joys, even amidst the chaos. You become the person who can say, West, times are tough, but I'm still finding reasons to smile, reasons to keep going, reasons to believe. Are you ready to paint your days with purpose, to bring color to every corner of your life, and to invite joy into each moment? It's a choice only you can make. And let me tell you something, it's a powerful choice, a transformative choice, and a choice that will ripple into every interaction you have. From the barista who hands you your morning coffee, to the child who looks up to you, to the friend who calls you after months of silence, just to hear your voice. And because when you live with intention, you give other people permission to do the same. You become the catalyst for a chain reaction of everyday joy, spreading from you to everyone around you. And that, my friends, is how real change happens, one intentional moment at a time. So we've talked about 2 principles. First, fostering meaningful connections with ourselves and others. Second, living with purposeful intention in everything we do. These 2 ideas might sound simple, but don't underestimate their power to shift the entire landscape of your life. They act like the roots of a mighty tree, invisible at a glance, but essential for growth, strength, and resilience. Hold on to these concepts. Let them guide you toward a place where everyday joy is not just a fleeting visitor, but a permanent resident. Now, as we draw to a close, let's bring everything together. Let's revisit what we've learned and translate these lessons into a roadmap for your life. Because let's be honest, none of this matters if it doesn't lift you up and move you forward. We've all listened to speeches that sounded good in the moment but didn't stick because we never fully internalized the message. That's not what I want for you. I want you to walk out of here tonight feeling equipped, feeling determined, and feeling hopeful about the path that lies ahead. Let's recap. We started by talking about the power of those small, often overlooked moments that can light up our day if we slow down enough to catch them. We agreed that our lives should not revolve solely around massive wins or big milestones, because if they do, we become blind to the everyday gifts that are already flowing into our lives. I asked you to think of a time when you felt genuine joy, to hold that memory in your mind, and to realize that such moments are not rare exceptions. They are, in fact, abundant possibilities waiting for you daily, provided you have the eyes to see them and the heart to embrace them. That's why we explored the first key principle, meaningful connections. We recognized that genuine relationships, both with ourselves and with other people, are essential for sustaining joy. We saw how living in isolation or skimming the surface of our interactions can leave us feeling empty, no matter how many external markers of success we achieve. We shared the story of a man who appeared to have everything, but lacked that vital ingredient of authentic bonding and self-awareness. I urge you to ask, who did I connect with today? And to look inward as well, asking, how am I doing, really? Because real human connections and honest self-connections act like a beacon in the darkness, guiding us toward lasting joy in a world that often feels confusing. Then we looked at the second principle, purposeful intention. We recognized how easy it is to drift through life on autopilot, letting days blur together without a sense of meaning. We saw that joy, like any precious resource, and needs fertile ground in which to grow, an environment shaped by awareness and deliberate choices. I told you about my friend who decided to commit just one act of kindness each day, transforming the mundane into a daily opportunity for celebration. We noted that without intention, life can pass us by in a haze of regret. But with intention, every hour, every minute, and every breath can become a chance to foster joy. Now, what can you do with these insights? How do you put them into practice the moment you walk out these doors? First, I invite you to make a firm decision right now, this very second, that you will no longer drift, that you will become a person who notices, who connects, who acts with purpose. That decision might feel small, but it's the seed of transformation. Write it down if you have to. Record a voice memo to yourself. Share it with someone you trust. Tell them, I'm making a commitment to live each day with my eyes and heart open. Let your decision be known so that it becomes real, tangible, and something you're accountable for. Next, I challenge you to pick one practical, manageable step you can take first thing tomorrow morning. It could be as simple as sending a heartfelt message to a loved one, expressing your appreciation, or simply asking them how they're really doing. It could be planning a moment of mindfulness before you dash off to work. Just 2 or 3 minutes of breathing, of absorbing the peacefulness of a new day. It might involve setting a meaningful intention, such as, I will truly listen to my colleagues today. Or, we'll find at least one reason to be thankful every hour, God. Whatever it is, let it be concrete. Let it be small enough that you can't talk yourself out of it. And as you carry out that step, notice how you feel. Notice the subtle changes in your mood, your energy, your perspective. Don't expect fireworks on day one, although they might surprise you. But do pay attention to the incremental shifts and the gentle opening of your awareness to the quiet wonders of the everyday. Then repeat it the next day and the next. Over time, these small actions compound, creating a new normal where joy is the rule, not the exception. Remember this: your journey will not be without challenges. There will be mornings when you wake up burdened by stress or disappointment. There will be times you find yourself stuck in a draining routine, surrounded by negativity, or weighed down by responsibilities that feel overwhelming. In those moments, recall our conversation. Recall that joy is not a product of perfect circumstances, but a choice to see what is already within your grasp. It's about pulling yourself out of autopilot long enough to say, wait, there's something I'm missing here, a connection, a moment, a spark. Even in the midst of hardship, you have the power to reclaim your perspective. You have the power to remember that small acts of kindness, mindful intentions, and genuine connections aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. Also remember, you're not alone in this. Every person in this room and countless others beyond these walls are wrestling with the same fundamental questions. How do I live in a way that feels authentic, purposeful, and joyful? We're all in this together, and there's great comfort in that truth. Lean on each other. Share your victories and your stumbles. Ask for help when you're struggling to hold on to your intention. Celebrate with others when they find joy in the everyday. Be part of a community, however small, that supports this journey. Because no matter how strong or talented or capable you are, real lasting joy was never meant to be a solo endeavor. We thrive when we stand side by side, hearts open, spirits linked by compassion and understanding. As I wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. Joy is an act of defiance. In a world that so often highlights what's broken, what's wrong, what's scary, choosing to acknowledge the beauty woven into each day is a radical stance. It's a declaration that no matter what storms rage around us, no matter how loudly the noise of worry or fear may try to drown out our hope, we will not forget the sunlight, the laughter, the taste of fresh air. We will not forget how it feels to care for someone deeply or to witness someone caring for us. We will not surrender the possibility that each sunrise is a fresh canvas waiting for us to paint it with intention and purpose. You have that power. You have that choice. And I believe in my heart that you are capable of extraordinary joy. Not just once in a while, but as a steady melody humming beneath the soundtrack of your life. If you commit to fostering meaningful connections and living with purposeful intention, if you embrace the treasure trove of small wonders each day holds, then you will transform not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. People will see the light in your eyes, hear the conviction in your voice, and feel the compassion in your presence. And they'll want to know what changed. When they ask, you'll tell them, I decided to find joy in the everyday. I opened my eyes. I opened my heart. I chose to connect more deeply and to act with intention. And in doing so, you'll continue the chain reaction. passing on the spark that could ignite a blaze of hope across every corner of this world. That is your legacy. That is your power. That is your gift. So go forward. Face tomorrow and every day after that with the unshakable belief that joy is yours for the finding. The everyday is rich with promise. Embrace it. Share it. And never forget you hold the key to your own joy. Turn that key, walk through that door, and step boldly into the future you've always deserved. You've got this. I believe in you. And more importantly, deep down, I want you to believe in you too. Thank you for listening. Now go out there and find that joy.